Hi, I'm Aishwarya. Over the last 8 years, I've spent most of my career designing and operating cloud infrastructure. One thing I gradually realized is that good architecture rarely starts with technology. It starts with understanding the customer's environment, the systems they already have, the constraints they are working with, and sometimes the problem they are actually trying to solve. Because quality of every architecture recommendation depends on the quality of the discovery that happens before it. That's the idea behind this project. Okay. Most solution designs doesn't fail because engineers lack technical knowledge. They fail because the wrong problem gets solved. So customers arrive with symptoms like we need zero trust, we need better identity, we need to modernize. But underneath those requests are operational constraints. Small team, legacy systems, audit pressure, business priorities, and the challenge isn't collecting information. It's knowing which questions uncover the decisions that actually matter. So, I deliberately avoided building chatbot. The objective wasn't generating answers. It was improving technical discovery. A good solution engineer doesn't begin with the architecture. They begin with questions. Questions that uncover technical gaps, business constraints, and operational maturity. And the trade offs that shape every recommendation afterwards. So that's the flow I wanted to capture. That's the flow I wanted to capture. That thinking shaped the architecture. The conversation is driven by a structured discovery engine rather than a fixed script. Here, each customer response updates the session context, and that context influences the next question, the maturity assessment, and eventually the recommendations produced at the end of the engagement. That thinking shaped the architecture. Okay. One design decision mattered throughout the project. I wanted the recommendations to be earned, not generated. The conversations gathers evidence first. Only then does the application produce a gap analysis, architecture options, stakeholder recommendations, and executive summary, because a good recommendation should be traceable to what the customer actually said. That thinking shaped the architecture. The conversation is driven by a structured discovery engine rather than a fixed script, and each customer response updates the session context. And that context influences the next question, the maturity assessment, and eventually the recommendations produced at the end of the engagement. One design decision mattered throughout the project. I wanted the recommendations to be earned, not generated. The conversation gathers evidence first. Only then the application produces a gap analysis, architecture options, stakeholder recommendations, and executive summary. Because good recommendations should be traceable to what customer actually said. So I'll step into the role of a customer here. The application takes the role of a solution engineer. Rather than demonstrating individual features, I want to show how the conversation develops, how follow up questions adapt, and how the technical gaps gradually emerge. Finally, how those conversations eventually become architecture recommendations. Let's take a look at it. All right, I'll begin by selecting the customer scenario and everything that follows a live conversation. Here, I'm deliberately answering a customer rather than steering the discussion myself. So, what I'm interested is isn't whether the assistant asks perfect question. Rather, it's whether each question builds naturally on the previous answer. So, here I have some questions around having a discovery call. I'm going to get started with the conversation, giving it few inputs around the employee number and a little bit context around identity, GDPR data. And I'm getting some follow up questions. So, this is what identity team is currently spending some time with. What kind of fall through cracks when they are not doing a regular entitlement review? Here, I'm going to feed in a scenario what happened in real time. Information around how long it took to find a user's identity and then kill their access. And so immediately my model is asking me questions around why did it take longer to address that particular risk. So here I'm having a follow-up question on, have I ever tried to quantify the number of users impacted by these offboardings or potential risk over time? I'm trying to steer the conversation around the issues we are facing right now as a customer, which is predominantly MFA enablement and a lesser tracking on of it. Yes. So this direction follows. Unfortunately, right now there is no control or an investigation done on the accuracy of numbers. So I'm going to be honest with that. Would it be feasible to create a simple report or dashboard to track MFA adoption across the organization? Oh, if you guys are curious, there is another demo on Identity Access Studio, which exactly tries to capture the MFA adoption across the organization, policy implementation, and an executive summary and results of that. Anyway, coming back to this, I'm going to establish some more facts alongside this real gap. So we have Microsoft E5 already. So Entra ID is there. I'm going to put in some information on what we have currently. Yes. Now it is asking me about what is the critical security or compliance requirement that's being missed due to the underutilization of Entra ID's advanced features. I'm going to give a final input here. There's a separate question about whether some of this needs to stay in the EU data centers, which is a very specific geographical compliance related thing. So here, that's a particular constraint I have where the data needs to stay in the EU data center given how we are structured. And leadership's emphasize on zero trust in the meetings. And I'm also honest here that I'd rather not show up with an audit that is basically shaky. So the conversation has a very natural flow here. The model is trying to ask and understand from every input I'm giving based on real time scenarios and based on the data compliance that is required. I think I have enough context to summarize what I'm hearing and begin the analysis. This is something I exactly want to see. Once the discovery is done, let's run an analysis here. I'm deliberately answering as a customer rather than steering the discussion myself. What I'm interested in here isn't whether the assistant asks me perfect question. That's not the goal here. It's whether the question builds naturally on the previous answer. As you can see here, with every input I'm giving, when I started talking about Microsoft E5 being there already, the conversation steered into you have the necessary license, then what is the security or compliance requirement that's missing right now? So this is the exact directions I want to be led. And as the conversation progresses, you'll notice the discussion shift from company background to identity architecture to operational constraints, then to governance, and eventually towards business risk. That's totally intentional here. And good discovery should not feel like a checklist. It should basically feel like a conversation. Once enough data have been collected, the platform moves into the analysis. When I go to gap analysis, this is my window here. And gap analysis isn't simply listing the missing controls. So it's basically identifying the capability gaps based on every discussion during the discovery. So there I'm seeing about MFA enforcement, privileged access management, PAM controls, and CSPM, which are crucial information I need based on the conversation of my current infrastructure. And next comes the architecture option. So rather than recommending a single design, the platform presents multiple implementation paths with different trade offs. We have with best security, best cost, fastest time to value, and low operational overhead. Because architecture is rarely about finding one correct answer, it is more about understanding which trade off best fits the customer. We also have a decision matrix here where the parameters are captured based on different matrices which can be subject to interpretation. You can go with any option depending on which feels the best fit for the infrastructure. The stakeholder briefs continues the same thing. Let me run my recommendations first. Here we have the vendor recommendations for enabling MFA here, and also we have the vendor recommendations for the zero trust capabilities. Let us go to the stakeholder review. So the stakeholder briefs continue that same thinking. The technical teams, security leadership, and executives rarely need the same level of detail, and each audience receives recommendations framed around the decision they are responsible for. So we have alignment starting with CSO, then CIO, and security architect. The operational capabilities given by IAM team and infrastructure team having some proposed solutions and alignment. Then procurement, where it scopes the contract terms, commercial risk, vendor viability. Then finally, finance, cost justification, and budget. This is a unified place where the stakeholder alignment is listed based on each executive level and the things they would be focusing on. Now, moving on to deal risk, here we get a summary on what are the significant changes and we have what are the no-goes and what are all right. For example, having an identity tool integrated on on-prem AD and Azure AD, which is a green in itself. We have assessments based on medium, critical, and high level. Then finally, the executive summary. Here, the executive summary brings the engagement together into a concise implementation roadmap because the objective isn't replacing a solution engineer. Rather, it's reducing the time between discovery and a well structured technical recommendation. We have a detailed implementation roadmap on phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, starting with MFA and PAM implementation, then establishing the CSF, then establishing the cloud security posture, then finally going to zero trust security posture. Again, we have risk categorized here as immediate, 30 days, and 90 days, which gives a pretty timeline understanding in itself, which could differ based on the organization, but this gives a very high level understanding on an executive level. Well, working on cloud security infrastructure taught me that technology decisions are rarely made in isolation. They are basically shaped by people, budgets, operational maturity, risk tolerance, and the conversations that uncover those constraints. This project was my attempt to capture that discovery process in a structured, repeatable way, not by replacing the technical conversation, rather by helping engineers have a better one. Thank you for watching. See you again in the next demo. Bye. So, working in infrastructure taught me that technology decisions are rarely made in isolation. They are shared by people. So, they are shaped by people, budgets, security constraints, operational maturity, risk tolerance, and the conversations that uncover those constraints. So, this project was my attempt to capture the discovery process in a structured, repeatable way, not by replacing technical conversation, but by helping engineers have a better one. Thank you for watching this video. See you again in the next demo in a cool project. Until then, take care. Bye.